right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday, September 14th edition of Confessions of a Mom-brarian. And today we are doing our monthly highlight of a local mompreneur, and we're very, very fortunate because we have a special guest, Jill Carty, who's an interior designer. She owns her own business, Jill Carty Designs, here with us today to chat. So we'll chat about mom things and design things and library things. So we're glad that everyone could be here with us. And I forgot to say, but I'm Chris and I work at the Norwood Library, and Prudence and Cheryl do too. Bye. I just want to do a little bit of sharing before we get really rolling, because sharing is caring. So we get some of this, get our video out there as far as we can. So if everybody can just bear with me first for 1 second here. Okay, well, oh, there it is. Okay, so I posted it just to a couple of our groups. And I'm going to leave this up so that I can see if anybody has any questions for Jill as we go along, or questions for a librarian. Please feel free to add a comment in the comment section. Even if you just want to say hi and that you can see us, that would be fabulous.
And better yet, they can share it to their friends as well.
Yeah, share the love. Share the love. So, Jill.
Yes. Hey.
We met, oh, I don't know, a couple of years ago now. I don't know if anyone can see behind me. And of course, because of COVID, everything, it doesn't look nearly as fancy as it did. But I'm at the Norwood Library. And in 2018, the library got a bit of a makeover. You kind of see there, swing around. There's the lovely fireplace. And the designer behind the way this building looks is our friend Jill. She came in and took me under her wing because I know nothing about interior design and couldn't choose a color to save my life. And she did the work here at the library. So, so we met on a professional level, and now we're friends.
Absolutely. It was such a great project, and it was, for me, a wonderful way to start to feel that inclusion into the community. People just coming in and everybody being so friendly and introducing themselves, and just being a part of what's going on. So yeah, it was lots of fun, Chris. Lots of fun. We had a few laughs too, eh?
We did. And we, like, it wasn't just, you know, these are the colors that we're doing, and we had, you know, it's a small library, so, you know, you see the red in the background? That was Jill and I painting. Like, we were in it. We were doing it.
Yeah.
But then we had to hire somebody to do the rest of the painting because they found out that I'm really not that good.
There you go.
All right. Do you want to start with us and just, like, tell us a bit about your background and where you're coming from, and how you got to be here in Norwood?
Yeah. Jim and I had built a home, excuse me, my goodness, outside of Lakefield. So we had a country property there with some acreage and a nice little log cabin in the back. And we raised the kids there, pretty much there. And we were there for 22 years. And it was just time to start thinking about the downsize. The kids were gone. We've got two children, two grown kids, our daughter Megan, who's a graphic designer in the Hamilton area, and our son Ryan. He's the, I call him this, he'll love it, the big kahuna at the Cineplex in Peterborough. He's the senior operations manager there. So we weren't exactly sure where we were going to land, and we stayed with friends and family members for almost a 2-year period, if you can believe that. I never thought it would be that. But in that process, Ryan and his partner were looking at a home out here, and so they came to we're all now in the Norwood Park Estates, and they had a spec home, and they wanted Dad to have a look at it because Jim's built lots of homes. And So that's how we got introduced to this community and saw the homes here. So we bought in here and had to wait a little bit longer for our house to be built. And so it's really nice having Ryan across the park. You know, we go back and forth and borrow things and check on the house if somebody's away and all that good stuff. So it's great. And loving Norwood. I have to say this, it's having lived just so close to Lakefield for all those years, but I think we were just busy with our business. We had a lawn care business together for many years. But I have such a strong sense of community here. I've just never had that before. So I'm concerned about things and I'm watching things and I like to be involved. So I just think, oh, there's something different going on in my heart right now. So I love it. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we live and work here and we love it too.
Which is great, right? Which is
yes. And if anyone's not local to Asphodel-Norwood, Jill's just talking about where she is. There's a brand, pretty much brand spanking new, like within the last 5 years, development of like a new subdivision, and it's expanding and growing, and it's a beautiful area to live in, and brand new park if you are a young family. Norwood is up and coming. It's a lovely community. We would invite you all to join us.
There's lots of houses for sale.
Yes. And
you can have Jill design.
You can have Jill design for you, and you're plunked right in the middle of a rural community. You're like, farm fields are kind of steps from your door, and nature is steps from your door. It's a very lovely spot to be.
Yeah.
We're all very fortunate.
Yeah, for sure.
So interior design, you had said before that you were doing kind of a lawn or landscaping type business. So how did you transition from that into decor?
Yeah, it's a bit of a story, but you would remember the pesticide ban coming to all of our provinces, and we were known as one of the companies that used more of an organic product, but the ban took away so much of what we could use. So we just shut the business and kind of walked away. So you find yourself in a time of transition, and it's kind of, I've learned every time something that looks not too great is happening, it's always, let's look at the possibility in that. And I think that's part of the reason why things happen to us as well. So I just kind of step back and you do a bit of soul searching and you're thinking about what's going to be next. And one of my girlfriends I'd always been asked by family and friends, can you come and look at this, or can you give us some ideas, or could you help me decorate this? And I did garden design when we had the business. I took some courses at Guelph University, and I started to learn design principles, and I realized that now those principles go across the board into fashion design. I taught a little class at one of the schools in Peterborough a couple of years ago, just as a guest coming in. And when I walked in, I'm seeing all of the principles on signage up on the walls. And I thought, oh my gosh, here it is again. It's the same thing, you know, balance and rhythm and scale and proportion and all those things. So anyway, my daughter gave me this amazing book that helped me sort out, and it was geared to women, and women who maybe have given up their dream, perhaps for their husband, or laid it down for their family, and trying to identify what's in them and what's next for them when it's kind of your turn. And so there was actually exercises in there, and it's just learning to be aware. So I started thinking, I love fabric. When I would get stressed, I would go to the fabric store, and I love the colors. I touch everything. I'm very tactile. And I would just find that very soothing. And I love gardening. And I started to see a connection of color, and I started to see a connection of like design principles. So I was designing in a garden. You design, you do a layout, you have walls, you have access points. You just have very similar things. So what kind of magazines was I collecting? What kind of books was I reading in my spare time? It was all those things started to add up. So and my girlfriend said to me, you need to do this. And she sent me a link to this design school, QC Design in Ottawa. And I was able to do a lot of my courses online. And so I thought, what the heck, I might as well go for it and get my certification. So I'm a redesign professional, la-di-da, international redesign professional. So I guess I could do that anywhere in the world. And also a certified interior decorator. So the design aspect kind of, there's a distinction obviously between a full out designer and a decorator. I just didn't want to get into drawings and architecture and all those fine details at this point in my life. But I'm finding myself moving more that way because sometimes you just get on a project and you just know the best recommendation is to maybe look at, let's take that wall down, or, you know, let's try something else. So I'm learning all the time. I've got software now. I can do drawings, and I will say they're for concept only, but the program has all the gizmos for architectural and giving to a contractor if you needed them. But I just don't understand that part just yet. But so yeah, I was on the journey, and I never looked back, and I think it was the best decision I ever made. Something in me just started to blossom, and it's the job that is my passion. I still get excited every time there's a new project. It's like a little something in me gets pumped, and you never know what's going to be on the other side of that door, you know, when you go. But I just love it, and my brain kicks in. Like I start, you know, as you're talking, but you're analyzing the space, and it's just something comes over me. It's just like sometimes I know instantly what that space needs, or, you know, what we need to do. So yeah, it's really, really good.
That was amazing that you followed a passion and you found something that just clicked so readily. Yeah. I love the story.
Well, you, like, I guess that all of us hear that, you know, work in a job that you love to do, and well, that's great, but do any of us really have that luxury? So I just feel very fortunate to have that, because, and coming from a strong business background, I've got a very strong administrative background. So I just know how to run that part of it. And I've got processes, and I do my books, and, you know, my daughter does a lot of my marketing materials. So I'm really spoiled that way. We work well together. So it's a nice bit of skill sets that work together, but yeah.
Yes, if anyone has a chance to visit Jill's website, it's beautifully done. And I feel like your daughter's handprint is all over that.
It's totally her. I just give her the content and say, a page on whatever. And yeah, so she does do a great job. And she's a freelance girl too. So yeah, seriously, she's, yeah.
So, you know, as you're talking about doing redesign, I was picturing like all of the shows that I love to watch on HGTV where they're tearing out walls and building brand new spaces. And it made me wonder, like, where you watch these shows and you see them come up with amazing ideas. And I know that that's what you do in your daily life, but where do you come up with these ideas? Like, how do you look at a space that looks dilapidated and maybe has wood paneling or whatever and decide to and how do you figure out what to do, and where do you get inspired?
There's different ways to look at that. I know some projects when I go in, it's like the feel of the space. It's the client, and you get a feel of their style, what they like, what's going on in the home. The function often will have a really big influence on what you're going to bring for that design. So some of them almost start to develop on their own. And other times I just go in and it's just like, okay, this needs to go. This is, I'd like to bring this in, or this would be the perfect color for in here. And it's almost just like an instinctive thing. But, you know, you look at, I take a couple of magazines. I'm in a couple of private Facebook groups. I'm a member of DDA, which is Decorators and Designers Association of Canada. So I'm an accredited member there. So we've got a lot of support there, and it's just nice to get on a group, especially when you're a solo entrepreneur. You can feel kind of alone sometimes, and so it's nice to throw something up, or questions, or some of the girls just, you know, you vent and just say, you know, or I'm stuck on this or whatever. So we all help. And I follow a couple of, there's a designer in Burlington that also does a little bit of business coaching. I follow her, and a really fun lady that I have watched. She's from Nashville, Tennessee. I can't even tell you how I found her, but I've been following her for many years, and just seen her rise to quite a level of distinction and recognition. She was pretty much in staging So I've learned a lot of my staging skills from her. And then the other answer to that, Chris, too, is like you're working with a set of principles. So we're trained with that. We know how to come into a space, how to kind of section it off and look for very specific principles. Are they in this home or in this space? And what, like every room should have a focal point. There's an example. So when you come into a room, is there a strong focal? If there's not one, then we need to make one. So we can make that sometimes with just a really great piece of artwork. It can be a couch if it's your main living room. Most of the time, if there's a fireplace in a space, I would say 99+%, that's your focal. You can have a primary, and some rooms have a secondary. But yeah, so you start with that, and then you just work your way back and go through your list of principles. But it's more for me the people in the space, and is this, you can design something, but if it's not functioning for them, or it's not an expression of who they are, and that's the challenge, but it's also the fun is getting to know what people really like. And then you always have Mr. Client and Mrs. Client, and rarely do they have the same style. So you find it's like a whole skill set of what words you choose and how you bring them to a place of compromise, how often you mesh two styles together that work. And sometimes I just know something has to come out of the space, and the clients maybe aren't ready for that. So you gentle them along in that process. And, like, yeah, come on, yeah. So it's a lot of it. And some people, it's a very emotional, if they're sentimental pieces, or they're in a bad place and just they're doing this, to get out of feeling badly or getting over something. So often there's tears and there's stories, and I love that part, because that's the people part. That's where we get real with each other. And it's an honor to be invited into somebody's home, and then you spend so many weeks together, you just really get to know people, and that's what I'm about. That's the best part. So, yeah.
Yeah. Part interior decorator, part therapist.
I actually had a guy, I think it was a couple of years ago, but his wife was dealing with a particular issue, and he came in and sat down for lunch and heard us talking, and he said, "That's just like free therapy. You realize that?"
Yeah, it goes hand in hand when you're getting to know somebody that deeply, that you're picking their brain about their likes, their dislikes, their how they live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It must get very personal, but
it does. But to be able to be a voice of encouragement too in the midst of that is pretty special. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So your kids are grown-up kids.
Yep.
But I do have a question, like, you're married, you and your husband work together, which, for a lot of couples, that is a dream. And then for a lot of couples,
That nightmare.
Scary.
Yeah.
So how do you balance the family and business aspects of your world?
Yeah. So I could back that up and say, when my kids were little, it was really important for me to try and find a work at home, something that would work for me. So I started a home daycare business. We lived at a farmhouse that had a summer kitchen. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So we converted that to a daycare space. And during that time, Jim was working three different shifts. And I was going to school. I would come we lived south of Lindsay at that point, and I would drive to Peterborough 2 nights a week to take some daycare training. And I did that for about 2 years to get this certification for home daycare. But everything I do, I take seriously, right? I'm learning all the time. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. And so that was a great way. But I look back at that and think, like, it was a really busy time, because I had, 5 kids every day. Jim, some days it was like trying to keep the kids quiet because Jim needed to sleep. And, you'd pack them up in the car and you'd go to town. I would bake with them and they'd all take a pie home. Like just stuff now that just makes me tired thinking about it. Yeah. But even in that, I think as a young mom, following what was important to me. And so what was important to me was to be with my kids. And I know other women, you're not meant to be home with your kids. You are worse in that environment and your kids are probably worse for it. So if you need to be at work, go out of the home and work and, find somebody like what I used to do or, whatever. So fast forwarding even to having the lawn care business, because at times both of our kids helped us with that business as well. And we did eventually move it and ran it from our home. So we had a lower level entry and office space. But you just learn to be flexible. And I think that's the biggest. We were talking earlier about personalities with, the ducks in the row. And I can be that way because of my design bent, but it's just flexibility. And even now I need to have that. So a lot of times my consults are when people are home. So that means I'm out in the evenings. And sometimes it's late afternoon and runs into, and if I'm driving, I come home and like I'm ready to eat the bricks off the building because I haven't had time for, whatever. And some meetings go a little bit longer. So Jim's eating maybe a meal by himself or, it's just being flexible. And the other part I think as a young mom is I think really important to be true to yourself and not give away so much. Cause I had really high standards all the time. So everything I did had to be excellent. and I think it's like, just get over that. Some things you can leave and they will wait until tomorrow. And if the dishes don't get done tonight, the world is not going to end. It's just learning to relax. And I think that's the best thing. But I think I'm not regretting it, but I think I gave away a lot of myself to be available to the kids and to Jim and to the home environment. So I'm just excited that I'm looking after myself now and doing what I like. So. And part of that's timing, right? It's the timing of your life that you can do it. So,
yes. Yeah. So you just gave some amazing advice. But on my list is if you have any further advice for youth or young moms or other women that are maybe looking to start a business of their own.
Yeah, I think like for me, it was just, I'm going to do this. So my first thing was to get the education. And then, it's just like this dawning moment of, hey, I'm actually an interior decorator, but then I need to get some clients and I need to get some momentum and get going. So I remember my very first client was, she was my massage therapist and we redid her treatment room and her living room was sort of doubled as her office, which was just around the corner from the treatment room. So that was really fun. I was just looking back at some pictures of that a couple of weeks ago and thought, wow, like, how many years ago was that? But, and then you just start getting out there, you start getting referrals and, the school teaches you how to kind of market yourself, but I really think more of it is just getting out there, getting around people that are in the industry. So even for me, I ended up at Sherwin-Williams. I walked in and you want to learn to set up your trade accounts in Sherwin-Williams in Peterborough. And the day I walked in, they were looking to hire, they weren't quite ready with the position, but they wanted an in-store decorator designer to help do consults for their clients. They also had a sales position. So because the first position wasn't quite available, I took the sales position and I worked for them for a year and it's fine. It's just what happened. But they basically just used my skill set and kept me in the sales position. But I learned all kinds of things about paint and more things about color. And so it's just, every opportunity, getting out there. And then I thought, well, how am I going to get in front of people? And I love to teach. So I started doing workshops and I had workshops in my home and just put it out there to friends, you know, and you know, I don't know, $30 or $40, they'd come and we'd do like a pretty in-depth session. And one was on living room furniture, and I actually cleared all the furniture out of the room and stacked it in the dining room and set up, you know, just like card table chairs to sit on, did the presentation, and then said, okay, so get to work. What are you going to do first? What did you learn? And so they all had to put the room back and talk about the order of what they would put where and why. So it was a very practical learning, but that kind of stuff is always fun. So
did you end up with your living room rearranged after that? Did you end up taking any of your students' ideas, or did you put it back the way you had it?
I think they were all like, if somebody was going off of the plan, there was 5 of them that were saying, no, that goes over here. So, but it was just fun. It was just meant to be fun. So, you know, it was good. Yeah.
Yes, and you've held workshops locally here in Norwood pre-COVID, when these kind of things could happen. And I brought my mom, and we went to the color consult, or like choosing your colors for your home. I think that I botched the title, but that was along the lines of what we learned, and it was a lot of fun and stuff. There's just stuff that when you don't know, you really don't know. Like there's a process to picking paint, and if you follow the steps appropriately and properly, then you come out with something you really love. But don't skip the steps.
Yeah, it all better. Exactly.
Make the big paint chip.
My students learned. I love it. That's good.
All right. Well, I do have a bonus question, and I know you're busy, but maybe COVID gave you a chance to slow down enough that you might have had a chance to pick up a book and do some reading. But do you have a favorite author or genre, or what do you like to read in your spare time?
I do. I really like mystery books, and I like kind of like spy novels, and you know, that kind of stuff. A friend of mine shares books with me sometimes, so I've read a fair bit of. I think it's Robert Parker, and what's the other lady? Sue Grafton, I think is her name as well. Yeah. So, and so I just finished one of Sue Grafton's novels, and they're all on this enormous wait list now. I think everybody's got time to read. But and they're usually easy reads, but you know, I just really enjoy them. So when I do pick up a book, that's what I like to do. And I think that's another maybe a little piece of advice. I think for me, like I did some more courses during COVID. And I'm always, you know, reading and learning. For my accreditation with my association, I have to take 5 educational units a year to retain that. And so I find you know, maybe you have a hot bath and put your pajamas on and think, okay, I'll just snuggle in and read. And I'm reading stuff related to work. And it's just like, no, I've got to learn to separate from that. So just picking up a novel that's kind of fun and just a little diversion is good. So yeah,
turn your work brain off for a few minutes and and read something totally outside of that realm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time out of your Monday morning to come and tell us about your story and your life and what you do. I think so. You have a social media presence. You have a website. I don't know if you want to rhyme off the ways that people can contact you if they are looking to meet up with you at any point.
Sure. So I would say directing to the website. It's just jillcartydesigns.com, and there's a contact tab at the top. So that will open, and it shows my address. The phone number's on there. I believe I put the number on, and there's a little form to fill out with your email, so you can send anything that you want there. Jim does work with me. He does residential painting, and I just say like smaller kind of handyman jobs. So he just kind of does that as needed. So that's a nice thing. I can highly recommend him because I do know his work. Yeah, so I think that's probably the best way. And I will mention I do a blog. So just for staying in touch with me, the blog is probably the best way to sign up. And I share little tips and, but I'll do articles on certain subjects, but I like to feature my projects there. So I quite often will do before and after. I'll just put little videos together and you can see the difference, and I'll chatter away about what we did. And yeah, so that's always kind of fun. And yeah, love to have you on that. And I'm trying to figure out a creative way to do, I was thinking, with fall decorating or even the Thanksgiving table, that maybe I should try and do some kind of a Zoom workshop and just see if I could get that to work. And we just need to stop and have some fun too in the midst of all this. So yeah. So I might be doing that. So you could look for that, I guess, on the website as well. But yeah. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn as well, if anybody's really interested in that part. Yeah. So thank you for having me. This is just nice. I was so delighted and honored to be asked. So thank you, Chris.
No problem. We're so glad that you could come. And what I'll do when the video is wrapped, I will throw a link in the comments to your website. Okay. And you guys can all go and check out Jill's daughter's web work too, because it's a beautiful site.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you very much. I think in terms of library stuff while we're here, I just wanted everyone to know that the library is open. If you weren't aware, we are open for people to come in. We're not open for browsing, but if anyone wanted to come into the library, you can have like a personal librarian come, and you just tell them what it is that you enjoy reading, or give them a few authors, and your personal librarian will pick some things off the shelf for you and package them up. Or you can use our online tool on our website. You can visit our catalog using your library card number and place holds on books, and we will arrange a pickup time for you. And if your comfort level is to still do curbside pickup, that can still happen. So we just offer it during our regular open hours here at the library. Also, there's ANPL Mom-brarians book club, and we are reading just a very short book right now, and I've read it, and now the title is just out my window. Cheryl, I can tell you.
It's Bad Ideas by Missy Marston.
Thank you. It was a good book. The title just didn't pertain. So we have that going on, and the Crafty Corner has been picking up. People have been making some beautiful stuff on the Crafty Corner, so feel free to check that out. Kids stuff is taking a bit of a break right now as we all figure out school. Let parents figure out what they're doing for school and getting that on the go, and you can expect to see some more kids stuff nearing the end of the month. We'll get some stuff up and going again once we're settled a little bit, maybe a couple weeks in.
Chris, can I ask for a little clarity on the book club? So I'm presuming everyone gets the book, does the read, and then do you come back as a group and talk about the book, or how does that work?
Yeah, so this is we have two book clubs. We've got one physical book club that happens out of our Westwood branch for our library card, our local library people. But this ANPL Mom-brarians book club is for anybody because it's online and it's over Facebook. So what we do is the book we're reading right now is available on Overdrive. And Overdrive is kind of like our online platform to get ebooks and audiobooks. And it's available as an ebook or an audiobook. You just use your library card, and many libraries across Ontario. Sorry, Cheryl.
Just wanted to mention that the book is only available until the 17th.
Yes.
So if you want to read it, you need to download it before the 17th.
Yes. And you don't have to read it by the 17th. If you download it on the 17th, you still have 2 weeks with that book. So it's part of Overdrive, or part of the Together We Read initiative. So it's a Canadian author, books based in Ontario. And so we're reading it for September. And what we do from our end is we post questions on the Facebook page, and people can engage by replying to the questions in the comments, and we can get a dialogue going that way.
Oh, I love that. That's perfect. Good.
Yeah. So it's been fun. We started doing the book club, I think, just a little bit ahead of the COVID shutdown, and it worked out well. The library was shut down, and we had already had this book club going. So yeah, we've just been rolling with it over the past 6 months, and we decided that even though the library is reopened, we will keep it going, because our library is open, but we're not offering in-person programs
Sure.
as of yet. So yeah, that's how we're trying to stay in touch with everybody. One of the ways.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, ladies. Well, thank you very much for your time. And we will be back here again on Monday. Same time, same usual place. And if you have any questions for a librarian, you can visit our website, www.anpl.org. You can find us on Facebook, or you can call 705-639-2228 and chat with us. So thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great week. Best of luck to the kids at school. And we'll see ya.
Thanks.
All right. Let's stop recording.